Welcome to another episode of Men Are the Prize, the podcast. I'm Harvey, your host. How's it going? Hope the day is treating you well. You've come just in time for a great episode. Every episode has been fantastic. It's a particularly good one. You say so. So before I introduce my guest, I'm going to take a minute and talk to you. The word that comes to mind for me is vulnerability. The reason I started this, as you know, if you've been listening for a while, is because I wanted to create a space for me to be comfortable speaking, to open up something that is very difficult to do. And I felt the only way to do that was to be vulnerable myself. So when I talk to you or anybody, I talk about the fact that 30 plus years ago, I tried to kill myself. I was at the point where I was at my lowest. I didn't know what was going on. I had no self-esteem. I had nothing. I failed out of college and I didn't see any future. And I tried. Obviously, I failed. But that was a really low point in my life. So for every guest who's come on here who I've asked to talk about what's going on with their struggle, it's only fair that I start with being vulnerable myself. And I want to talk about maybe one of the most vulnerable acts that I've seen anybody do on social media in a while. That is my guest today. And my guest is Oliver James. How you doing today, sir?
Hello. Well, nice to meet you.
Quite nice to meet you too. As anybody knows, if you're a watcher or listener of my podcast, I love a good bio. If you haven't recognized the name yet, I think you will once I finish reading some information about him. Oliver James is a TikTok sensation and motivational. In his TikTok videos, Oliver often introduces himself by saying, I'm a 35-year-old man who struggles with. However, it wasn't long ago that he would say, I can't read. He opens up about many deep struggles he has gone through with learning to read and his mental. His story has been so inspiring that he ended up being interviewed on ABC's Good Morning America, The Rachael Ray Show, NPR, and other major outlets. He was also recently featured in People magazine. In October, he was awarded the 2023 National Literacy Honors Award by the Barbara Bush Foundation for the light he has shed on being functionally illiterate. When he's not working on reading or speaking, Oliver is tackling new frontiers, parenting his son who was born. Congratulations on being a father and welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank
Uh,
you for having me.
of course, thank you. So my first question, I just kind of want to dive in. How did you decide that you wanted to kind of let the world in to your struggle, literacy, and mental health?
You know, you talked about this. You don't know when to decide. You know, you kind of you get this feeling that something's just not right, and you got to make a decision to go in a direction. You just make a decision. You just choose it. 2020 was that time when I just didn't know what, I mean, and it's easy to see what I'm saying because just let me say 2020, COVID, hyper COVID. So I was feeling the same thing everyone was feeling. Only different was I was like, what can we do? And that's when I decided to make some of those changes because everyone knew what 2020 felt like. In that time, I decided to say, hey, let's try something because I'm kind of bored and I know life is just not looking that well. I'm already depressed and COVID came. Now I'm more depressed. I'm like, let's do something. So that's why, you kind of just start reading, kind of start talking to the world differently because you're not the same. You're trying to change. So you're talking to the world with a different type of mind. Like, hey, I don't know this, or how can I do this, or where can I go to do this? Because you're trying to do something new. You're taking on a new journey. You're researching things. You're finding new people. And I ended up stumbling across online and telling the world everything about my struggles with reading.
How did that start? So you make that's a major decision. You
Yeah,
decide I'm gonna let people in to something that many might find embarrassing or not want to talk about.
yeah.
So you do that. How is it? What's it like when you start? That first post, that first time you say, I can't read. What was that like when you really went on the
Uh, there was a few posts before that, but none of those go viral. So I'm kind of still thinking about those posts. But then when the one viral post goes, like, it goes, you kind of don't feel like it's real, You're like, why now? Because I've been doing this for a while, or what's going on? And out of nowhere, it went viral because I think it was the right time and the right things were said. It was kind of like the first time I had come into the house, and my lady was like, I've been doing stuff with fitness. I'm trying to survive and keep a job and, do everything like anyone else. And I'm like, man, I need to do something with social media and just start figuring out how to create, a community and build up my like my occupation or whatever I'm going to do with my life. I don't know how to do nothing at this time. I'm like, what do I do? And she's just like, why don't you just go out there and be yourself? And I'm like, like, what? You be myself? But ain't nobody gonna hire myself. I can't read. I'm like, what? And she's like, listen, you'd be surprised. You go out there and just tell people you can't read and you're dealing with stuff. And I'm like, let's go do this. And that's when I really went out there and I was like, listen, I'm throwing it all in. Like, listen, I got these issues. I can't do that. And I kind of just let it go as if like, this is who I am. And that is when everything changed. That's when everything was like, okay, I know my purpose. I know what I'm supposed to do. I could see it. Like it was clear as day right then and there. It was just like, I told you I was lost. And then at that moment, I was like, this is it. You got found. It was like, this is it. You found a purpose. It was like, what is this? Immediately. As soon as it happened, it was just like all my answers were just like everything. All my questions, everything was answered.
Well, you said the magic word, so we'll get started. If you are a new listener or a new watcher to this podcast, welcome. You picked a great episode. We have fantastic guests here today. If you are a fan who've watched or listened, I'm glad you're here, and you know how this goes. The word is pride. I take 4 of the letters in the word prize. Each letter represents a word that I think is a characteristic for men. And we just have a conversation about it. So the word is pride. The first letter is P, and the first word is purpose. Purpose is defined as a reason for which something is done or created, or for which something is. So 2020 comes, you decide to go out there and be yourself. You post it, but then a few go viral, and all of a sudden you're a whole different person. With that happening, and it's 2024, what is your purpose for?
My purpose for literacy, you said? It
Yeah.
cut off.
Oh, my bad.
Well, no, it's fine. My purpose for literacy now, it changed because I learned how to read. So now it's kind of discovering what is reading, like what does it have to offer me? You know, there is a magic in reading, and everybody gets hit different. I truly believe it. And just think, I got hit with reading at 35 years old. It's like gaining the ability to walk after someone didn't let you walk for 30 years, Like, can you imagine that person would be running full speed in those streets? As soon as those legs get underneath them, right? You can tell them nothing. They'll be running everywhere. It's new. There'll be new legs. It don't matter if they're 35. Those legs would be like children legs. They would run. You know what I mean? Like they would use them. And that's just kind of how it is with me. I'm like a child with this. I can't even explain it. I can't even explain what this is. Uh, I'm going through life's journey because I realized I didn't get the opportunity to grow with my literacy journey. So there's emotional connections. There's lessons you learned, development lessons, beliefs and disbeliefs that helped you when you were growing up. And I can see now reading shapes that in such a stronger way. And how to have a strong mentality, how to have a confidence, how to have empathy. These things you can have them, but they don't set stone when you read. When you read, you gain an identity from it. You pick out if you want to be empathetic or if you just want to be a mean person, but you pick it. When you don't read, it kind of chooses you. When you read, you choose it. You kind of like, I'm gonna choose mine from my liking. And I think we could leave it right there with this one. Uh, my literacy journey is choices now, having the opportunity to make choices. Yeah.
Right. So along with the literacy journey that you're on and helping so many people by just be willing to show us. You also kind of now focus on mental health.
Mhm.
So, what is your purpose in terms of kind of letting us into mental health? What's that journey in public?
Wow, that journey is everything, I think, And the reason why I say that is because as a, you know, just as someone who's, trying to figure out what life has to offer, mental health plays the biggest role in it. Without the mental right, nothing's right. So, I'm having a hard time right now trying to make decisions and I don't know how to explain it because I never really made decisions. I never when you've always sit behind. You always like a shadow. You don't really do much. You kind of don't ever do more than your means. So my mental health journey right now is going to be made on like a lot of hard decisions. Like I think I'm going to be spreading a lot of like me overcoming some hard decisions and choices that I know that they just can't be changed by anybody but myself. So like I think people need to see that I'm going to be making decisions and making choices that I don't even know what they're going to be. I might make, opportunities out of nothing, or I might fall into some times where I don't do nothing at all. But I think my mental health journey is going to be me expressing and making decisions and kind of openly, showing people that the whole entire journey is a mental health journey, like everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy, the sad. Like, so people would be like, oh, it's not just one long thing and then you're happy at the end. I'm like, no, no, I need you to see the whole thing. Like, so people could see, like, that guy over there, he had some days and months and weeks. I'm like, yeah, and you've seen it, and you've seen it. So I think I'm in that space, like making decisions, being firm in them, but also putting them out there, even if they're good, bad, whatever, judgy, and then making that decision to say this is a growing point. Once you put it out there, you grow now. Like this is what we're showing. A lot of people don't do that. You just keep doing the same things with your mental. You know how it goes, and you don't fix it. The only way to fix it is, throw a wrench in there. You got to do it.
Right?
You got to.
Is there a parallel, or did you feel different as you were reading? How was your mental health as you were growing up? Because obviously you couldn't read, and now you're reading better with every book that you read online and showing, and you're gaining, and it's kind of building your personality and all this stuff with all this knowledge you're picking up. Do you feel different? Are you happier
Mm.
when you read something happier? Are you sad when you read a sad book?
Hmm.
What's your like spirit like when you're reading a book?
Just that alone, the spirit is awakened. So all emotions have been now activated, and they are all ready to go. Like all of them, even ones I did not even know. So just understand with reading, it has opened up an emotional just can of worms. I cannot even explain it to you. And that's from all of them. That's from the ones that we don't even completely put in the emotional basket. Like, you know, even like stuff that doesn't have words to it, like that. I mean, like in the same category, like judgment or, resilience. They'd be like, is there emotion behind that? Yeah. When you start reading, you start realizing there's judgment and emotions. I mean, there's a judgment. I mean, there's emotion in judgments. There's emotion in these things that it's not just set like your emotional emotions are just coming out of the blue, and you're activated, you're acting on them. When you don't read, it's more of like that type of life, like you act upon your emotions on how they show up. Does that make sense?
It
But
makes
when you start learning, you start learning also how to activate your emotions when needing to be active. You're gonna say the same way. They kind of go hand in hand. So people need to understand that like now I have emotions behind some of my decisions, just little things like that I didn't have emotion behind because I didn't read. So it's changed my whole life because I could do something now that I know better about, and I'll have an emotional reaction to it. And I didn't have a reaction to it before because I didn't know better. So think of how it's really mind tricky because I'm like, I'm having an emotional reaction to something I never even knew to have it, and now I'm having it. Just like reading a book. Why am I crying when I read? I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I ain't never done that. So I'm like, what is happening to me? Like, it's emotional, very emotional.
That I can imagine. It feels like this kind of metamorphosis, this change. So, like you were
Yeah.
one person,
Hmm.
and these books, these words, these paragraphs, these like it, it's I don't know. I'm almost a little jealous because as you seriously, you're like learning, you're reading a book, and it's like you're picking up you're picking up plastics because you read all kinds of stuff that I
Oh
see
yeah.
you with TikTok, and you read educational stuff, but you read regular books, and when a book could hit you in a different way based on when. Like I can read Dr. Seuss, and I could read Dr. Seuss, any Dr. Seuss when I was 6, and it's great. But I'm 30 and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read Dr. Seuss, it's different.
It's different.
I
Yeah.
It's like every day you're like, it's this, you grow. It's an amazing thing to watch. To see you, not that you're becoming better, you're like enhanced. You're like, we can,
Yeah.
we have the instrument. We can build him and
Yeah.
make you even more amazing
Yeah.
every and it
Yeah. Yeah.
but what it makes me think of is you are a new father. And
Yeah.
by the way, congratulations. I've got 4 of them, so
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
understand what it means to be a
Yeah.
dad. How much does your journey into literacy now, how is it gonna affect the literacy of your
You know, I don't think I've touched even like a smidget of what I'm going to actually feel from the changes I made, the trajectory that I'm going to put my kids on now. I haven't felt it. I'm still in the parenting stage, and he's still young. I'm still going through that transition of life.
right,
But I know later on down the line when my kids are in a place where they come out of their stage now, they're in la la land life. But when they start to grow up a little bit and see things that's a little different, we can just say another 5 years or so, um, the trajectory of their life, I don't even know what I'm gonna have done to change it, like, because I'm telling you, like, I could have seen the life that I gave them before. I could have seen what I was gonna do or how, kind of like, all right, this is what you're gonna get. Now I can't even tell you what they're gonna get. I've never read. I've never done this. I've never done any of these things. So like they're gonna have a father that I don't even know exists. Doesn't even know how to even I don't no idea what he is. Because I knew the guy I was, and they could have gave him that guy. But I'm changing, I'm reading. So I'm like, I have no idea. That they're liable to have who knows what out of this world now I can give them with this, because I didn't have this opportunity to give them. Now they get to see a man grow up reading around them. I didn't have that. So and they won't have it either unless I give it to them. So so I'm like, okay, now you get to see. What if you had a man that was around you that read every day and was just role modeling you like a father? Just if you had a dang father. Like, yeah, this probably wouldn't happen. Like 99% of this probably would not have happened. And I'm sorry to say, but it probably wouldn't have. Your mom could have done it, but truth, this was a father's situation. This was, the the emotional journey I was going on as a boy that women won't even know because we won't know women and women won't know men, but men have this something in us. I don't know what it is. We all know what it is. Like it's like this desire to want more and be like it's ego, it's everything. I don't know what it is. But when you don't have a man like or just something there to just kind of just teach you like, hey man, that burning sensation in your body right now when you got angry, don't hit nothing. You just like what? Like don't hit nothing. Like why? Because I want to hug you. Come here, give me a hug, and let me go for a walk. Why you want to do that? Like, cause I said so. Cause I'm your dad. Let's go. It could take you somewhere. You're like, how do you know to take that from me? You know what I mean? Like, I think about that now. Now, if you had a strong man that could have jumped in and was just like, yeah, you want to punch something, don't you? I'm like, I know. Come here, give me a hug. Like, why you want to hug? Like, don't you need it? Come on. Like, I didn't have it. Like it was just, and I see it now, and I'm like, that's something I'll be able to offer my kids. There was an ego there that if they got angry with me, I might have fought with them, even as an adult, you know? Now, I might kiss them on the cheek and be like, man, that world gonna beat you up so bad, I ain't even worry about you. Go ahead, let me give you a kiss. Come here. You gonna need more kisses than you can ever imagine, boy. Like, but I wouldn't have known that before. Like now reading, I can see. I'm like, man, kisses got to be handed out. That's it. Even as a man, like that's it.
especially as a man.
Yeah.
Especially, man. And that's fantastic. That's so good to hear. I mean, if aside from what you're, because you're kind of becoming a whole new person with your
Mhm.
journey, you're going to be a good father no matter what. And just hearing you, the way you speak about and how you grew up, and you
Yeah.
little things you've told us about how you grew up, but you're going to give your kid in
Mhm.
some form or fashion something you didn't have, a presence
Yeah.
that you didn't have, which
Yep.
is amazing. And not only are you going to be present, but you're going to be a person with the gift. You're going to be present with the present for your children. Literacy,
Mhm.
reading, understanding. Like it's one thing to just look at a book and read the words, and it's another to read and understand what
Oh
you're reading.
yeah.
And you appreciate reading, and literacy is so
Oh
good.
yeah.
Your kids are gonna love,
Yeah.
even if it's against their will, they are gonna love reading because
Oh
that
yeah.
reading. Like they have
Yeah.
no choice.
Mhm.
Like
Yep. Yeah.
it's wonderful. This is a gift they don't even know they're getting. They don't.
Yeah. Even this is a good thing because even when I'm not here, their worst days, they'll be able to remember me by teaching myself and reading and just the days I struggled and like just when they grew up, they would remember like I watched that dude. They don't know they're watching me. Yeah, you know how it goes. They have no idea they're watching me. But
Right.
they're gonna grow up and they're gonna be like, man, I watched my dad, like I watched him do this stuff. Like I didn't even know. Like, you know, what I mean? And that is what I think about. It's hard because I want to do other things, but I think about it on a day-to-day basis. Like I ain't perfect, so I make more mistakes than I do, the right stuff sometimes. But I just think about what am I leaving? Like, what am I leaving them? Like when they go off on their own, like what they gonna remember? And I just try to say, like, okay, I did this. So if they remember that, like, you know what I mean? If they look back and be like, I'm having a sad day, Pops ain't around, they might just grab a book. They might just grab one because it reminds them of me. And that's what I'm hoping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a piece of them. They're
Yeah.
you're never gonna be gone.
No.
Every time they hold a book, they're
Yeah.
holding you, man.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
That's
Let
it.
let Oh, good. Let's keep it moving. The next letter in the word prize is R. The word, and you mention these words as we go along, is resilient. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. I feel like your story in general is a story of resilience. So talk about it. How has this journey of literacy and mental health built up your resilience?
Well, it's very hard to explain. I don't know how other people do the things they do. I can only tell you from my point of view. But these things are like silent, real things. Like resilience sounds like a word that you could just be, you know, but you can't be resilient without exercising resilience. Like learning how to read will help you build your resilience because it's like doing push-ups for your chest. You're gonna get a bigger chest. Like if you're reading, your resilience is gonna gain more strength. And people think that they got resilience because they could like react or say things or do like no. Resilience is different. It's like on social media, seeing as many bad comments as you possibly can about yourself, but then still continuing to do everything you do like no one said nothing about you. And even when they see you, you still smile at them and tell them like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm happy to see you." Like you fully resilient to anything. Even if they be like, "I don't even like what you do," you tell them, "Yeah, well, congratulations. I'm happy you talking about yourself." Like you're resilient to every word. Like, and it's so hard. So if you're not reading, you won't know how to see that stuff coming and be resilient to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when things come at you, like me as a social media content influencer who's trying to teach himself to read, if I stop reading, I won't be as resilient. I will be able to get punctured. People will be able to hurt me with, haha, he don't know how to read. He's an old dude who doesn't know how to read. He's stupid. Like, because sometimes you're gonna get that. And
Right.
kids get that. They don't understand that the resilience comes from the reading. So like if you're reading, you build the resilience against the things people say about you. You can't get it without it. So when you're reading, you're gaining more resilience. It's weird to explain, but you're gaining it for some reason. And then it helps you keep going. It helps you keep pushing, even against yourself. Even when yourself's like, I'm stupid, I can never do this. You start gaining more resilience against self-deprivating because the words you're reading become stronger than the self-deprivation. So if your mind's always saying you're stupid because people say you're stupid or you never learn or whatever it is, the words you read on that book now replace those words that got put in your head because you're starting to download new words, at least for me. So that resilience starts to build up. Like I start to see people call me stupid, but I just read 3 or 4 or 5 books about how, I ain't stupid. So I'm like, resilience, I got resilience now. Like that started to help me. Like.
The minute you decided to do this and to be public about it, you showed a level of resilience that most people don't. The fact that you did this knowing how cruel, and listen, social media can be a good place, but we know that there's a really dark place, a real dirty place, a mean place. There's nobody has more courage, more balls than when they're typing on social media.
Yeah,
That I'm a man, I can do whatever because I can just type whatever I want, but I'm not in your
yeah,
face. So you people can say whatever they want, and you know it. You went
yeah,
into it knowing it, and you continue to do it. And every day, I'm sure people try to find ways to say foul stuff to you. And the fact that
yeah.
you continue and do it, I don't know if there's a tougher person walking around than you for what you do. And I applaud you. I would like to think I could do that. I don't, I'm trying to build up my ability to be vulnerable, but
Mhm.
what you are doing is a resilient and a vulnerability that right now is unmatched. So I just wanted to applaud you on what you do. And it's wonderful. And I love seeing everything you do. I love the live. I love you cracking a book and like the joy when you're reading a book is the joy that kids should have all the time. And you a 35 or whatever year old man,
Yep.
you've got
Yeah.
that joy. And
Yeah.
I mean, don't lose that, man. Don't
I
ever.
hope not. I hope not. It's one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life. I mean, you just gotta understand it's there for me at any time. And like you said, but lives and stuff like that, the lives is another addition, but I read on my own and I get such live earlier, just like, I'm happy as heck just sitting on the porch reading. But the lives is another addition, but it's a high for me. Like it's a real high. Like I sit back, throw the live on, and I'm just going in, just reading, talking, reading. I'm like, this is something I've never done like that. Like I've never been able to do that. So to me, it is like you said, like the kid, like I'm a child. Like I can't wait to get to school type thing. I'm like, I can't wait to go read. Like I can't wait. And it's like because it's like you said, it's a very new feeling and it's like a childlike spirit behind it. And we all know what that is. We all know that feeling. I have a childlike spirit behind reading. Yes. I can feel it and everything. Yes.
And and why I think we all love watching you. And to be honest, it's the your your journey with illiteracy is great. Your journey with mental health is great. But the reason that you resonate is really you. It's
Mhm.
all the stuff you're doing is great, but other people could be doing that, but I wouldn't be feeling it the way I feel it with you. Like I'm on the journey with you. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so proud of you with every book you finish. You
Yeah.
like a book like that's another win. And like
Yeah.
like we're in this win with you and we're watching you and you're running this race and you're passing that guy and you lap that dude. And it's like, and you really you've garnered this kind of love with and for all the crap that you're gonna get from the mean people. I just hope you remember how many people, for the one or two bad comments you get, I hope you're getting hundreds of people who are like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
going to teach my kid to read like that.
Yeah.
I didn't read growing up. You are my inspiration.
Yeah.
You are so much. And I applaud you. That's why I wanted to talk to you because I want to see if I could soak up some of this energy, so much
Yeah.
of this joy. I like learning. So I'm watching
Yeah.
you learn and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm going to skip the next letter in P.R.I.Z.E. Skip the I. The next letter is Z. The word is zeal. Zeal is defined as enthusiastic devotion. Typically, I have a question for this, but I don't because to me, you you kind of define it. Enthusiastic devotion, I ask, man, is what you do something you do that you love, just for you, not for anybody, not for the world, not for a sibling or significant or child. What do you do for? And even I was watching you today. I'm going through your content and watching stuff. There's a difference when you pick up a book versus when I pick up you. I love books. You really love books. It's not just
Hmm.
it's what it references. At least
Yeah.
that's what it feels to me. Am I right in that
Yeah.
then?
Yeah. Hmm. Well, you got to understand that oh man, I'm still so new. Let's just say that to it,
Right.
and you have to understand that in some weird way, it's like I'm chosen for this. You know, it's like someone gave me the ability to have this gift. It's like everyone got the gift of reading, but it was just like, whoa, you got a gift. There's a gift there. There's something there with me and reading. I don't know what it is because I can feel it. I can feel, uh, I don't know how to explain it, like this weird spark on like, as if like books were like reading in general. I don't know how to explain it, was something that I was supposed to do my whole life, but just never got the opportunity to do it. And the way that I feel about it is as if like I have another purpose in life. You know what I mean? Like it's weird, but um, I don't know. It's hard to explain with it because I'm still learning. So I try to give you as much as I know. But if you're asking like, because it was cutting out
Oh,
on the
oh,
video, but it
um, what I was getting at, reading it feels like it's something. Obviously, this you decided to just put this show us that you're reading, and it feels like this journey you're reading feels like it's something really personal, something that you and you do it on camera.
mhm.
So to a degree, you're doing it for us, the people who are
Yeah,
watching,
yeah,
but you're really doing it for you. You're really
yeah,
doing
oh, yeah.
it for yourself. So how does it feel to do something that? And I'm assuming you really like reading.
Okay, yeah.
So how does it feel to do something you really love, not only for the public, but for yourself, for in private to a degree, but really more public? What's that feeling like doing something you love? Everybody,
I don't, I probably could equivalent to like what uh like like artist feels.
okay,
Like when someone goes on stage and they give their performance, or like when LeBron James is playing basketball,
right,
like there's an art to it, like, but they're in a different, even though they're doing it for everyone else. LeBron plays basketball because he really loves basketball. Like it's sorry to say, but he loves basketball. Like there's a difference there. There's some art form with this dude that you get, and I never had that feeling, right? And I think everybody gets the opportunity to get something when they're growing up and say, I'm gonna latch on to this. Like I didn't have it. When I was growing up, I was great at sports. I had all these things. I was good at all types of stuff, but I never had something that I was like, I'm gonna do this for my life. Like I'm gonna teach other people or I'm gonna tell everyone. Like I had nothing. And I had that spark for motivational speaking, which I do now,
mm,
but it wasn't motivational speaking that made the spark. Motivational speaking is the job, that's what they pay you for.
right,
It was the words. It was literacy. It was speaking the words, these words that I feel and I'm learning and I'm reading. I'm like, I've always been passionate about like stuff when I learned it, hearing it. But when I started reading, I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to be a communicator. I want to be, a writer. I don't know. I'm like, I want to write, man. Dude, like this is real serious conversation. I want to start writing. I want to be one of the black people who they said like when kids grow up 100 years from now, they go, that's that Frederick Douglass type book, but it's Oliver James now. It's like I'm thinking like, hold on, you could be the Michael Jordan of books or something. I'm like, yeah.
okay, okay,
Like what I didn't think about these things, but when I started to feel it, I was like, I need to write. Like even about motivational speaking. Motivational speaking is great, but I was like, now you start learning how to read. You need to write books. You need to then when you write a book, go speak somewhere, when they buy your book and do stuff. But I didn't think about this stuff. I didn't know I'm an author. I didn't know I was I didn't know this stuff. I didn't know that I was supposed to be like learning philosophy, and I love philosophy. I didn't know this, I love philosophy. I'm like, I didn't even know what philosophy was. And now I'm learning it. I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you, but this is that magic that reading's giving me. That literacy is giving me the strengths to be a stronger speaker, to learn more about philosophy, to do. So the reading part is like, thank you, but it comes with all these special things. You know what I mean? For me, especially, because my dreams were always to learn to read, speak in front of people, do certain things, but those things were just hindered by my reading. Once my reading got strong, those things were like, here you go. Here's what you've been looking for. And I didn't understand it. So, yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons I think reading is so big to me because I like being a speaker and a communicator and writing. I just was like, who wants to hear my stuff? Who wants to buy my stuff? I can't read. I can't spell. Who's going to listen to what I got to do? But when you start learning, you're like, well, hold up now. People may buy this. They might buy something now because you know some of the stuff. You learn it. And it's the same thing like with sports, when these guys play sports in high school, middle school and stuff, ain't nobody paying them millions of dollars to dunk a basketball. None of them. But when they get to the NBA and all that other stuff, they don't master that crap. But they were stuck to it because they loved it. They really loved it. A lot of them, a lot of these people. And that's how I feel, for real.
I want to ask you because you obviously you're at a point in the reading really affecting, improving. How did you go through education growing up? How did you make it through not being able to read the book? Can you kind of talk about what education was like for you growing up?
But yeah, I mean, it started off easy, went to like the beginning parts of school where they taught me all the stuff, that ABCs. I remember all this stuff. Like I kind of was really, I understood it. I didn't want to be in school. So I was very, very like aware more than I needed to. I did not like school from the beginning. I was not taught how to do school, so I didn't like it that much. But then I would say which one? It was around. Then I got to elementary school in second grade. I got suspended in second grade. And then when I got suspended in second grade, I came back and they brought me to a special school. Can you use that? They brought me to a special school. Hold on, my son has to use the bathroom. They brought me to a school that was for um what do you call it? Like kids for special education and like
Okay,
IEPs and all, like it's hard to explain because I don't know this stuff.
I know.
But
Yeah.
but they brought me to that school and they pretty much put me in, and they were allowed to pretty much like abuse us. They were allowed to strain us and hit us, like not like punch us, in the face or anything, but choke us, slam us, things you shouldn't do to a kid. And it was pretty rough. We were second to fifth grade. After that, we could narrow it down to pretty much I just hated school. I hated everybody who had to do anything with school, and school was not my friend. And I pretty much just wreaked havoc. Like anytime I went to school, I just didn't do it. I just didn't do anything. I just hated it. Got expelled from every single school. I finally graduated when I was, time to graduate. I never failed. I finally graduated when it was time to graduate, and that was pretty much it.
Did it feel strange finishing, or were you more like, I'm glad it's over? What was it like graduating and getting out?
Um, yeah, I never, you know what? It didn't, I don't even know. To tell you the truth, I never went to school really. So I just was like, once it was done, it was just like I was done going to somewhere I had to go. So I was just like, cool. Like I ain't got to go no more. But I didn't go so much, it didn't matter. I never cared because I never went. Like I skipped. I always was kicked out of school. Like it was like there was no real schooling for me mentally. So
The last letter in the word E, the word expectation. A strong belief that something will happen or be the case. I don't know how far ahead you look when you consider your journey. Obviously, you've got a child now, another child, and he's going to grow and get older. But do you have a vision of where's Oliver James going to be in 5 years? What are you going to be doing? Right.
probably speaking. I'll probably be motivational speaking, and hopefully I'll be having by 5 years. I'm hoping to have one to two or three books written by then. I don't know. I set these goals that I really want to write some books. I just don't know how yet. But some things I thought about, and I hope to be able to make them come true, even if they're not like number one like sellers or nothing. Even if no one bought it, I just want to have it out that I did it. That's it.
That,
So I'm hoping I got like 2 or 3 books done, and I got my motivational speaking career up, and speaking to different organizations and schools about the importance of literacy and overcoming mental challenges. It's true.
one of the reasons I want to talk to you, one, obviously the journey, but two, you a little while ago, I think you did a podcast with Michael Three, who is one of my favorite people, the librarian.
Hmm.
He is one of the coolest people, and I was lucky enough to talk to him too. And we are in this age where education, literacy is there's really the spotlight. And Michael is like maybe a little bit of a strange kid, but he loves books and he loves library. And then we've got you who's just loving to learn, read. How do you see kind of this upstart, this kind of all of a sudden we're all about loving books and reading and all that? Where do you see that going? Or do you think there are going to be more people doing it? Or how do you see this new kind of push to love books and to love library? Where do you think that?
You know, if I had anything to do with it, I think it's going to a new level. We just have to be prepared to take it there. The libraries and stuff like that. Unfortunately, with time, those things are going to get outgrown, and people are going to have to like put things in play for those things to like upgrade, in any form of matter, whatever it is. Even if they start doing social media content in there or something, where people now can go there to do their content. I don't know what it is, but they'll have to get in tune with the future. But I truly believe that they like libraries, literacy, these things, they have a place. And I just think that they just needed people like me and Michael and all these other people and yourself and everyone who's just pushing like positive influences for reading and all these different things, no matter what it is, because that starts to change the people who listen, and then they start to participate in those different groups of reading and anything with education. Regardless, people are starting to want to learn, because even with their selfish ways, reading can help their selfish ways. So a lot of people are like, oh no, I could benefit from this and be more selfish. I'm like, kind of, yeah, you can. So a lot of people are, but the good thing about it is when you start trying to take on that journey with literacy, you can't aim for the spot you want to hit. Like, even though you're reading, don't mean you're gonna hit like the specific spot. You're gonna learn some stuff that you may not even want to learn. So you know how reading is. So that's the best part about reading, because you can go off on reading thinking you want to do one thing and end up with a whole nother journey, because reading has its own agenda for you. Your brain, no one can understand why your brain does these little changes or what happens, but reading will do that in any way it wants for you. So I don't know, man. Like, I really believe literacy and reading and educating yourself in any shape or form is going to have a new like revamp in our whole entire society and everybody's life, because we're going into a new time. Kids are going to be learning in a different way. I don't know, explain it. We can't explain what's going to happen, because fortunately we're going to be lucky to see it. you know it's like, basically, we read about things like from history, where we're like, man, imagine what it'd be like living in that time, right? It's history. It's like, it doesn't we're in a time where something in our life will become history. You know what I mean? Where we're gonna be sitting there in like 5 years, like, yeah, it's history ago we had schools, or something like that. And you're gonna be like, what? You'd be like, why don't we have those no more? And be like, well, internet, something here, people, like, you never know what could happen. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're in a time where we'd be like, will we never have these things again? Or like, we never know. We never might not have these things. We don't know, because we're in a really advanced time where people are like, do we need office buildings? Do we need, like, certain things where people be like, we don't even have office buildings no more. We don't have drive-throughs or nothing. We have people pick up the stuff and bring it to us. Like, who knows? We don't know. But we're living in a time where this stuff will make a weird shift, where we will be able to sit there and say, wow, I remember a time where that couldn't even be. And what I mean by that is, we're seeing that today is a day in time where we can talk about mental health and not have to worry about your mental health. Your mental health can still be okay. Uh, uh, I grew up in a time where we could not talk about that, you know, and we just couldn't in the 90s. You weren't allowed to have mental health issues. If you did, you might be in some trouble. You
Right.
can, so, you know, you just got to really watch out. And right now, we're in a time where we can ask for help. You know, people want to provide. They want it, like they just do. People want to start doing different. And that alone should just show you where literacy stands. This is a time where now where everyone wants to gain information. They want to learn. People are growing up in a time where they all want information and they don't know that the old school way is the best way to gain information. They think by looking at a bunch of, you know, social media views and videos and stuff that they're going to gain a bunch of information and learn at a level that their brain's asking for. But as we all see with these things, it becomes an overload of stuff. When you read, there's no overload. It spits perfect where it needs to go. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's no overload. You can take in a lot, but it still will fit perfect eventually. It won't be, you get what I'm saying? It won't do nothing but fit perfect where it needs to go. And think what I'm saying, that a lot of people in this world don't know that the best way to gain information is in a book. All of it's in there. A lot of people don't know. So if there's a lot of people like me, millions, imagine when those people watch my stuff. Now, you get what I'm saying? Now those people might all start be readers now. They all might be like, hey, I still do what I do, but since I watched this dude, I started reading now. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like that might,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that
You're
changes
very much
everything. That changes everything.
you're very much an inspiration. Yeah. This is gonna hopefully change the
Yeah,
trajectory and bring a focus back to books because we've gotten away. There's nothing like,
yeah,
I mean, you can listen to people read a book, but there's nothing like holding. To
no,
me, it feels so much different holding a book.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite book?
Yeah, I have a couple. My three right now is Charlotte's Web, Four Agreements, and Holes. Those are like my three favorites right now.
Yes, I
Yeah,
saw how you got hit with hold. I
yeah, yeah,
saw
man.
that was a moment, bro. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
right,
that's like a middle school book, but remember that
right, right.
them things hit me like, you know, like real deal. Like they really hit me because you know I'm growing with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, those characters really hit. They really do. You can't even help it. There's nothing you can do about it. They hit you
Emotion,
on accident. Yeah, yeah,
emotion is emotion, bro. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah. You don't
And
get to
that's
choose.
yeah, and every kid has to read that. That's every
Yeah.
middle school or junior
Yep.
high, and it's an emotional book, and it's
Yep.
about and it does a great job of friendship and what it's like growing up, and just issues that we deal with. It's something that'll last forever. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic book, so I'm
Yeah.
glad you like that. Um, this was it's a great conversation. I know you've got a kid to get back to, so I'm not going to hold you up. How can people find you? Social media, website, wherever. Where are you?
Oliver Speaks One, and that's the number one. So a lot of people always say it's the word, but at Oliver Speaks One, you can find me on pretty much all my platforms. So TikTok, YouTube, X, Instagram, you can get me on all those at Oliver Speaks One.
All right. Oh, all right. Well, all his information, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen if you're watching this. If you're listening, the information will be in the episode notes. Oliver, thank you so much for talking. It was really my honor. I really glad I got to talk to you, kind of
Thank you.
feel the spirit. This love, the love of books that you have is something that I wish we could kind of inject into kids. Because if you like reading, you like learning. If you like learning, we're just better. When we're educated, really educated, we're better because
Mhm.
like you said, you can find the most, probably the best information in a book.
Mhm.
So,
100%.
so thank you so much for talking. Like I said, your information will be available in the episode note. I will be watching you every day on social media.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I get to talk to you again. Thank you so much for your
Yes,
really appreciate it.
definitely.
We'll get one more minute. This was great. I'm so glad I got to talk to Oliver. It was wonderful. I hope you a, gained anything from this. Is that the joy that we should have for reading, for educating ourselves, for bettering ourselves. Make sure you find that. And when you find it for yourself, ask it. If you have children, most of the people who are watching are dad. Make sure your kids love reading like you love reading, like Oliver. Hopefully, like I better. We, we you get better vocabulary when you have a better imagination when you read. All these things are great things for children. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, you are important. You are valuable. You are somebody's hope and joy. You are somebody's pride and joy. You are somebody's happy. Somebody is waiting for you to walk in. Somebody's waiting to talk to you. Somebody's waiting to hear your voice. Somebody's waiting to laugh with you. Somebody's waiting to argue with you about something, debate with you about something, but they're waiting for you so you can show up. So make sure you show up. We need. Why do we need you? Because you're wonderful. You're a good man. And you're the